Y'all, I am so freaking excited. It is finally setting in. I am going to Italy for a month. It has been 3 years in November since I have been to Italy, but been to Europe at all. The last time I was there for 3 months. I spent most of that time in Greece, a couple weeks in Portugal, and then a few days in Barcelona and Rome. So I'm very excited to be going back to Rome and visiting a neighborhood that I fell in love with the first time I was there. But a month in Italy is actually a lot different than 3 months in Europe or even a month in Greece. It is very different from any travel I've done before. I have done, like I said, 3 months in Europe. I've done 4 months studying abroad in Ireland, 6 months living in Ireland at a different time, 3 months living in the Panamanian jungle, 3 months traveling Costa Rica. I have done my fair share of long trips, but what I've never done is 1 month in a country that has as many things as Italy. It would be like going to the US for 1 month, and there's 37,000 things to do and no possible way to do them all. My preferred way of travel is a month or more in a place where I can really be there, maybe hit 1 or 2 locations. The problem is Italy has too many main destinations. The way I've been thinking about this, and I never realized it till planning this trip, is if you go to France, you're thinking, okay, I will go to Paris, Versailles, which is right outside of Paris. I'll go to Nice or the French Riviera, and maybe I'll go to wine country. There's a few wine country locations that you could name. That is still about 5 places that I can name. And you know, there's the French Alps, there's all these places, but you don't think about them too much. And if you asked me to name 5 places to go in France, I would name 5, and maybe there's a couple more I could think of. When it comes to Italy, if we played a game to see who could write the most destinations, places, monuments, cities, towns in Italy, I think we would all have a list of at least 30 places. Where in France, you might know a few names of places. In Italy, you know of regions, you know of cities, you know of beaches. It is insane. And I did not put together how hard it would be to go to Italy for 1 month and actually plan until I was doing it. And the other thing I hadn't considered is how hard it would be to stay on budget in Italy when every single place is a destination. Like when I was in Greece, it was easy to go off the beaten path a little bit and get cheaper prices and still see really amazing things. But in Italy, when you go off the beaten path a little bit, there's just too many main destinations. It has been insane. So we've had the flights booked, but we haven't had anything else booked except 3 nights in Rome until this weekend. Well, we're leaving in less than 2 weeks. We finally just got back from our last trip before Italy, which was a week in Florida between Panama City and Destin with my partner's family. And it was fun, but it also was this mental block that there was so much, we had so many trips this year, so much work. And it was like, we just need to get through Florida and then we can focus on Italy. So we get home from Florida on Friday, and I spent all of Friday night, all of Saturday and Saturday night till 1 a.m., and all of Sunday scheming and planning and rerouting our trip. Originally, we were going to go to Sicily, and then we decided we were actually going to rent a car and go to Puglia and then go to the north. And then when we started actually planning specific dates, we realized it would be a lot more cost effective to actually go to Puglia second and go be in Puglia in September instead of August. But then once we actually booked the north, we realized that it was Omaha Fashion Week in Milan, and it was nearly impossible to stay on our budget and not have just a tiny shoebox way outside of the city center in Milan. So we changed what we were doing there. And then by the time we were figuring out how to get from Milan to Puglia, we realized we could just fly to Sicily, and the prices were also a lot cheaper in September than in August in Sicily as well as Puglia. And we went back to Sicily, and I was really hesitant at first. I really wanted to go to Puglia, mostly because I have a friend who lives there and I haven't seen them in 3 years. And so I was holding on to the idea of Puglia, but I will be honest, when I started to compare them again, I realized Sicily has a few things Puglia just doesn't. And as much as there is culture and history and Italy's oldest town, Matera, Puglia just could not compare to the ancient history that Sicily has. And especially with the prices actually being affordable in Sicily in September, I couldn't not do it. So, are you ready for our 1 month in Italy itinerary reveal? We're starting with 3 nights in Rome before taking a train to Florence. We'll be there from Monday to Friday. And we don't actually have any day trips planned while we're in Florence, but depending on how it goes, I might sneak a trip out to the more countryside, rural parts of Tuscany. Maybe do a wine tour, something. But right now we don't have any day trips planned. We'll stay in Florence and explore the city. And honestly, those 5 days, we are going to be working. It is when we're going to be prepping for the rest of the trip, trying to get ahead, get situated. We wanted to really be able to settle in a bit. We got an apartment that has a couch and a table so that we can actually have space to work. And we're really going to be focusing on settling in and honestly just walking around the city, eating amazing food. And you guys, I cannot wait for the thrifting and consignment stores. I'm still trying to work out what my shopping budget is for this trip. After Florence, we are going to a little place I had never heard of called Brescia, Brescia, I believe. I'd have to look it up. You guys, my little dyslexic brain doesn't always pronounce things or spell things correctly. But we actually found a co-living space that I'm really excited for. And we're going to be in Brescia for, I think, a full week, actually. And it's going to set us up to do day trips to Milan because we could not afford to stay where we wanted to stay and actually have the amenities we wanted to have. So we'll do a day trip to Milan. And I am honestly so excited about this because Fashion Week is in the end of September. And while I won't be there for Fashion Week, I do feel like it's going to be buzzing. I'm going to be buzzing. I'm so excited to do some thrifting in Milan. We're also going to try to sneak in day trips to Venice, maybe swing by Verona, and maybe go to Lake Garda. But those are all up in the air. We're going to just see how the week goes, see how working went the week before, play it by ear, build in enough flexibility, but we have a plan. We have a place that's going to be really easy to do day trips from. And it's very central to multiple places. And this town itself is gorgeous. Even though I'd never heard of it, sometimes you just have to look for a different place, look at things a little differently. And I will tell you, I was stressing when I saw the situation in Milan. I was like, oh gosh, we screwed up. I don't know what we're going to do here, but we figured it out. After that part of the trip, that'll be the end of us in northern Italy. We're going to go to Milan and fly to Sicily. We're flying into Palermo. This is the only part of the trip I don't have booked yet. We have 4 nights we don't have booked yet, but it's where we saved budget for. It is where we are trying to find something a little bit nicer, where we have the ability to literally watch the sunset from our accommodation if possible. That is my biggest want. And then we're going down to Aggregato. I have to look again. I think it's something like that, but it is where the Valley of the Temples and the Stair of the Turks are. And it is full of freaking history. It is like the combination of all the ancient civilizations descended on Sicily in different parts. And this part in particular with the Valley of the Temples is going to be incredible. Just to even walk around, I am so excited. We probably should stay in this area longer than we are going to, but we don't have the time. And we're only going to have 2 nights there before we head to Syracuse, just south of Catania. We're going to have a few nights there and near Palermo. I have my eye on boat tours. I want to do 2 boat tours, one in each side of Sicily. One of them is going to be sunset relaxing, and one of them is going to be touring the caves, I guess. We'll find out, but I cannot freaking wait, you guys. And then we will do Mount Etna and Catania as a day trip, just check out the areas before we fly back to Rome for one night near the airport before we fly back to Omaha, Nebraska. And I already know I'm going to have reverse culture shock when I get home because I always do. So I'm preparing myself for that. Honestly, my brain is pretty much blank when it comes to everything that happens when I get back to Italy. There's things going on in October, but honestly, in my brain, I'm not even worrying about anything that happens after Italy until I'm home from Italy. This whole summer, I have just been waiting for Italy, enjoying my time and still having trips, but it just felt like I had no mental space to actually plan this trip until we got home from Florida. And then I spent 20 plus hours figuring out everything I just told you, figuring out where we can actually go, how to utilize our budget the best. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, when this episode comes out, I think it's coming out this Friday, which means I will be 1 week away from Italy, which means I need your best Italian recs, especially if you know of thrifts or consignment stores. I know Milan and Florence keep them a little hush-hush from what I've seen. If there is a restaurant that you say, this is the #1 restaurant of my whole trip, especially if you find off the beaten path places that are actually in the cheaper side of things, let me know. If you have recs for Sicily, even in a location I didn't mention, let me know. And if you have recommendations for the north, where I said we might day trip to Venice, Verona, Lake Garda, help me make those decisions, please. Tell me what your trip was like. Send me photos. I am counting on you to help me make this the best month. And even saying that, I hear how busy this month sounds, and I'm really excited to actually find chances to slow down. My MO when I'm traveling is usually wake up, go get a coffee, take a slow morning, especially when I'm in Europe because I don't have to work till later in the day. Take a slow morning, people watch, have an espresso and a croissant, maybe some focaccia before usually a museum or just a self-walking tour around the city, exploring different areas, a late lunch, little quick bite, and then working for the evening until sunset, trying to catch the sunset somewhere, and then getting dinner. So I'm excited for many, many days, even if there's some travel on the front and back end of that, many days of just wandering, getting my steps in, y'all. I've been hitting my steps lately, and this trip is going to help, and just enjoying whatever the day brings. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm obsessed. I am obsessed, and I cannot wait to fill you all in after the trip. But in the meantime, I need your recs. And on the off chance you're also in Italy, let me know. All right, let's go get obsessed.